So, for some of you who don't know, I am the illustrious Perry James, and you're watching Hashtag Truth with Scott Larson. Cut! Somebody get that Zuckerberg guy on the phone. We gotta get Larson shut down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday night. It is WrestleMania weekend. And tonight on Hashtag Truth, we have Mr. Chris Thunder Anderson. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you, Scott?
You're doing well. Let's get right into it, man. Let's have us tell you a little bit about yourself. So we'll be right back after the intro. All right, Chris Thunder Anderson is with us here tonight. You are not a stranger to Hashtag Truth, sir. I think this is your fourth time or fifth time appearing on the show. But for the ones that are going to be watching, the new ones that have not seen you yet, tell us how you got started in the business and how long you've been doing this.
So this year is 28 years officially in the business. I started in started training in 95. I had my first match in January of 96. So roughly thereabout. Got into business working out at the gym one day with Mickey Richards. We just got to talking, and he said something about having a wrestling Saturday this weekend. And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So he started telling me about it. So eventually, me and him hooked up, and he got me started. And then I've been very fortunate to learn from some of the best in business. Learn from everybody using hate back in the day. If you wanted to learn, you went to Jay Abels. And me and Blade learned a lot from Chief. We worked for Brady Chase in Greenville. Learned tons from Brady. He probably helped us as a tag team more than anyone. Of course, been lucky enough to work with George. Got very fortunate to work with Ole. Mentored me for the last couple of years. Stayed in touch with him, hated to see him go, kind of thing. But I loved Owen. He was always good to me, so I can't say anything bad about it. I've heard some stuff, and I met him early on, so I know how he was. It's but yeah, I was always good with him. His son Bryant, we contact each other a little bit here and there now, but so that's kind of it. Just I've been fortunate enough to travel around and wrestle in several states. Wrestle guys, I grew up watching. Name drop wise, Ricky Morton, Roger Gibson, of course, Bobby Barbarian, Eric Watts. Gosh, you name them, I've worked with them on the field like
28 years in our area. You had to work with a few people, right?
Yeah, the last couple of years we started going to WrestleCade, and the first year we went, I used to wrestle up in Winston-Salem, Poptown area, up that way, Yadkinville, that whole area years ago, right. And the first year we went to WrestleCade, I think I signed as many autographs as the people that were being paid to be there did, because I hadn't been up there in so long. People I was standing in line, and he was like, "Hey, aren't you? Can I?" And I'm like, "Sure," and so we did that, made pictures, and so that was probably the only free thing we ever really got. But then we go through, and there's D'Lo Brown and Ron Simmons, some of those guys that I have worked with. Last year, I got to hang out with Al Snow, hang out with him. Last year, probably the biggest thrill of mine was I spent 3 hours talking to Abdullah the Butcher, which was awesome. Just sitting around talking, shooting the breeze, and him just telling me stories and telling me about the business.
I would have been in awe. I would have been in pure awe sitting there with Abdullah the Butcher for 3 hours, man. I would have been like a kid at the candy store. we got people sending messages. We better get messages. Robert Brown said Lafayette, Indiana in the building. What's up, Scott and Thunder? Robert Brown said, I don't have social media, so my question for Thunder is, who was your favorite wrestler growing up? Uh-oh. I think he might have froze up on us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a second. There he goes. All right. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Well, of course, I guess you don't want to admit it sometimes, but then you go back and you're like, yeah, they kind of were. Of course, the Horseman, Ole Martin, family, hello. Got to cheers for family. And Scott Newman is almost a Dusty Magnum, Piper, those guys. Just, going back now,
I noticed
the last several years and watching some of those stuff.
We watched some of the same stuff growing up, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Luke Childers saying, yo, welcome to hashtag Luke.
And being able to work with some of those guys, get to know them at the same time too. So that's just
right. You guys take a snapshot. He froze up again. He was smiling in that one. If you guys took a picture, he was smiling in that one. He gets to talking about his wrestlers he has growing up. You're doing good though, man. You're doing good. I understand the internet out there in your area isn't the best, bro. So. But I appreciate you coming on nonetheless. Please. We will definitely work through it. Right. Missy Childers said the Moondogs. Don't forget about the Moondogs.
Can't forget about the Moondogs. Worst beat I ever took. Loved it. Well, actually, and I'll be honest, and she was there, so she knows. Not only was it probably the worst beat I ever took, but probably the closest I've ever come to throwing my boots away and quit. Totally.
But that's the way it was back in the olden days, man. When they wrestled, they wrestled. Some of them old school wrestlers didn't pull a punch. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you talk about it. There's story behind that match. There's heat behind that match that me and my partner at the time didn't know about. We didn't find out until after, and of course after it's too late. So, but we gave as good as we got. So,
Brandon Ledford said, "Hey y'all, I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm in Asheville eating at Cheddar's with my girlfriend. Hey man, eat some for me. But I have a question. Thunder, are you gonna wrestle at HWA again? Miss seeing you in action, and I will second that."
Yeah.
Man, your internet is is bad right now. There you go. You're caught up. Say it again.
I should never say never. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. Jody Lewis said, hello, Chris. Hello, Scott.
Yeah.
Robert Brown wants to know if you ever crossed paths with the Hardy Boys, Caprice Coleman, or Black Skull.
So I've never really been in a ring with it, but I've worked with Caprice on several shows, over the years. And I did get to work with Matt Hardy on a show a couple years ago. And the funny part was Missy, my wife, trained with Stal and George. So when Matt and Jeff came through, she worked with them. And plus, she went down to town and they were running shows and worked for them down there. So when I met Matt Hardy, he pretty much walked in the direction. You're married to her. And I was like, Yeah, that was kind of mine. That's Mount Arch.
Your internet
I
broke
can get
up
over with
again,
it.
bro. So we caught everything but the end of that. You said Missy was
I
training
don't get
with
over
them.
without Missy.
Yeah, without a doubt. James Conley said, "Hey Scott,
I met Matt.
when?" There you go. Hey Scott, when can the Legacy get on #Truth? Anytime the Legacy wants to, man. Just hit me up. Robert Brown says, do you have a match coming up by chance? We will be talking about that, Robert Brown. I don't want him to talk about that now. We have a segment for that, and he will be talking about his upcoming. I'll even be showing the poster, and so I'll ask you about that anyway, kind of a roundabout way. You are a champion somewhere. Tell us about that.
So I am currently the WASP heavyweight champion. I have been champ since. Luke, you might have to help me out on this. I don't remember. But since probably the end of last year.
Yeah, last year.
About 4 or 5. Yeah. It's been about 5 months now.
Missy said maybe he should call in. I'd have to. I might be able to do that. Let's see if we can switch over, because I know your internet's kind of bad out there. Let's see if I can. Well, I don't have my.
I don't know if it can. I can tell.
Let me see if we can do this way. I might have you hang up and call my phone number. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, if you have bad internet, at least we can hear you better. If you call in, at least when you make the phone call, we can hear you better. Let me hook it up to my phone and see if we can get this thing rocking and rolling. Well, if I can get it in my phone. My phone cover's being a booger. Okay. Let's see if we can get this right here. All right, we have it. So I'll tell you what. Why don't you hang up, Thunder? I'll take you out, and you call. You have my phone number, correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a call, and we'll do it call-in style. That'll be cool too. So I'll go ahead and get you out of here, and then you go ahead and call me back, and we'll do it that way. That way we can hear you a lot better.
All
right, here we go. All right, we're going to wait a few minutes for Chris Thunder to call us in. Out in his area where he lives, unfortunately, the internet is really bad out there. So we're going to have him do a call in. And let me see if I can switch my background here. Do a little deja vu, a little bit of something here, and there you go. That's the number he's going to call in. Don't anybody else call in, because I won't answer, but just for Thunder Anderson, if he needs the number, it's up there. He should be calling my phone any minute now. Well, we got a lot to talk about. Chris Thunder Anderson, been in the business for 28 years. He's a good friend of mine. We've talked many hours about professional wrestling. He is old school from head to toe. And let me tell you, man, Joseph Burns said, Scott, good to see you're still kicking, man. I'm trying. My leg is trying to make me stop doing this, but it's not going to get there. Brino Royce, who we're going to have on the show pretty soon. He had to reschedule. We're going to have him back on. Can't wait for that. He said, Thunder. Yeah, we're waiting on Thunder to give me a call on the phone. As soon as he does that, we will get him on here, and we'll get to talking with him. Luke said he's had Robert, you asked about the heavyweight championship or where he's going next. He's had the heavyweight championship out there at WASP since November, his son said, and that's a lot. If I may ask, is Missy still in the business? Missy does behind the scenes for her husband now, but she can answer for herself if she wants to. I know she's watching. Missy does. There it is. I missed the call, so I'm going to call him back. Let's see if we can do this. All right. Make sure we can hear him. Hey, there you are.
Send me the voicemail, man.
There you go. Now, I just need to ask the audience out there, the ones who are listening, can you hear Chris Thunder Anderson? Is he coming through? Because I can hear him just fine.
All right, that's good. As long as you can hear me.
All right, now we're gonna ask that question again, and we're gonna get you to do all the stuff about tell us about your championship.
All right, so I am currently the WASP heavyweight champion. Over in it left me, Tennessee.
Right.
I have been. This is my 9th run as WASP champion, and surprisingly enough, I have never been beaten for the belt.
Oh wow!
Even though I'm a 9-time champion, I've never lost it. I've always had to. So there's been cases where, and I know you know this. I've had a couple of surgeries on my foot.
Right.
Due to some medical conditions, so I had to surrender it on 2 different occasions for that. Of course, as independent wrestling goes, sometimes they have to close for a while and reopen, and owners change, and so that takes care of about 3 or 4 title runs.
Okay.
So it's just kind of been one of them things where it's just, if there's a layoff, they come back and there's a new champion, and then I come back and win it again. So it's kind of always been that way. And I love those guys over there, and I appreciate the opportunity that they give me to work for them, and be, that leader and that champ in the dressing room and at the shows. And so I just appreciate the runs that I get from them. So can't say enough about those guys over there.
Right. I've always, excuse me, I had to burp. I've always liked going out there, man. I haven't went out there yet. I've always wanted to go out there to see them guys. I always see the shows on video, and it looks really, really cool and really fun. I'm trying to set up a picture here so everybody can see what you look like as I talk to you, so that way they know exactly who I'm talking to. So I'm working behind the scenes as I'm talking to you. But yeah, tell everybody exactly where that is located at. It's Mountain City, Tennessee, correct?
Mountain City, Tennessee. They run a monthly show at the Fords Creek Community Center, and it's a small venue, but it holds. We know it holds at least 200 because that was the legit number. No math, no wrestling math needed. Legit 200 people at least were in that building last month.
Oh wow, nice.
Kept coming in. They were still coming in 15 minutes after the show started.
Now I heard something. I heard something from a family member that you guys were actually giving up your chairs in the locker room. You had so many people there. So
it came down to, and you know this about me. When I travel, I always take my own chair with me.
Right.
I have a nice bag chair, camping chair, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
That I take with me pretty much everywhere I go. And that's the only chair I'll give up to my wife. Everybody else is on their own, and that's the only reason I give it up for her.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's not her.
So chivalry is not dead.
She has her own. But literally, and everybody kind of knows Tier around here.
Right.
Me, Tier is a smart one too. He's learned early to carry his own chair. So me and Tier were the only two in the dressing room at one time that had chairs to sit in. Other than they have a couch in the dressing room where we're at. It's a pretty big room, but they have a couch. And so there was 2 guys on the couch. We were the only ones that had seats in the dressing room.
Okay.
Everybody else was sitting on the floor or standing around. So we legit sold every chair in the place out. And they stayed the entire show. So that was pretty awesome as well.
Nice. So if everybody wants to know, if you're just coming in and you don't know who Chris Thunder Anderson is, I've got a picture of him up in the corner of the screen there. You can see who I'm talking to. Unfortunately, his internet where he lives out there, he lives out in the boondocks, ladies and gentlemen, like a lot of us, and internet doesn't kind of get to him. So we tried to do the video part of it, but it didn't work. So we went to audio, and it's working out a lot better. I appreciate you bearing with us there, Chris, man.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, I always get short end of the stick when I'm on here.
So you are all good, man. You are. I've sat down for hours and talked with you on many occasions, and talk to you about wrestling and how it used to be and how different it is from back then to now. I've never been a professional wrestler, but I've watched professional wrestling and I've been behind the scenes in the indies enough to know a little bit of something. But you teach me something every time we sit down. How do you feel when you walk into a locker room, especially if you're like the one with the most experience in the locker room? Do you feel it's your duty to help teach somebody, or is it just certain place, certain time you offer that to somebody?
Well, several years back, I would do it, and I would kind of try to offer that help to everybody.
Right.
In the last couple of years, it's just kind of been, I have watched and learned and kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, got my feelings hurt a time or two, because guys are just like, you go to them and you try to help them and they just look at you like, well, who are you to tell me? And not being hateful about it or whatever, but some of these guys couldn't carry my boots.
Right.
Because of some of the places I've worked. Some of the things that I have done, some of the people I've been in the ring with, so yeah, and I've said this for years. You can't put WWF or E or ECW or NWA or WCW or anything like that beside my name.
Right.
But I have done just as much and worked with most of those guys over my 28 years in this business, and have sat under learning trees with some of these guys, and they have been willing enough to teach me. And, I've had conversations with George, and I've listened to George talk, and it's true. You try to pass it on to those that want it.
Right.
But the ones that, basically look at you like, who are you to tell me? Then you should let them go out there and look stupid.
Right.
And that's just where I'm at with it now. I have tried to mentor some guys and give advice here and there. And now, for the most part, those guys listen, or at least they act like they listen. I hope they do. I'm never going to tell nobody. In my opinion, I'm not going to try to tell them wrong. I'm not going to steer them wrong. I know.
Right.
I've heard too many stories and been around it and watched it happen, where older guys take these young kids and they're going, man, if you'll just come with me, I'll teach you this. And it's it's not really that way. They don't really teach them anything.
Right.
They just use you to get their own self over, or further their own career, or get their own, self over, whatever it may be.
Right. Now, I have to admit, as a fan, I see a lot of these new kids, and if the shoe fits, wear it. If it don't, then this shouldn't bother you, me saying this. But a lot of the new kids nowadays, they want to win, 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 win. They don't see any goodness in losing. They don't learn. They don't see a learning curve in losing. What do you think about that?
Well, that goes back to understanding, you've talked about this too, understanding what story you're telling, understanding the psychology of this business. If you're going out there, and you're getting your feelings hurt because you're not winning, then obviously you're not doing your job. Ole told me several times, it's about making money, number one.
Right.
And the only way you can make money is if you put butts in seats.
That's right.
And if you don't put butts in the seats and nobody wants to pay to see you, why are you doing it? And that's the part that a lot of guys don't know, is they think, well, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna, do all this stuff and turn flips and do all these big high spots and run around the ring and do all this, but it loses the crowd. If the crowd's not with you, you're done.
Right.
You might as well just be wrestling in front of chairs,
right,
rather than people. Yeah, they might clap at some things you do, but it's more of an appreciation. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Good job.
I've got a lot of people. Let me tell you. I'll be talking. I'll be saying what they're saying, but we got a lot of comments we got to catch up on. Let me see. Robert Brown said he can hear you just fine. Missy said she could hear you. Missy said tell you to talk just a little bit louder. Missy said Charles King. I think she was trying to remind you of something.
Yeah, he was my partner in Memphis.
Okay.
When we wrestled the Moondog.
Okay, so when you went to Memphis, because I lived right outside of Memphis in a little town called Bethel Springs when I was growing up, and we used to go over there and watch Jerry the King Lawler and Bill Dundee and all them. Did you ever have a chance to do something like that?
Yes, worked in the Mid-South Coliseum.
Oh, man.
I worked the New Dogs with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and Billy Joe Travis and Sherry Martell and Leilani Kai. Buddy Lindell was there. Brookhouse Brown was there.
Oh, man.
Loaded chart. It was awesome. Jimmy Valiant.
I'm probably going to break your heart, but I just read a news article yesterday that they're seriously considering tearing down the Coliseum.
Yeah, they've been toying with that idea.
Yeah, but they're actually passing a bill in their legislature to tear down certain buildings now, and the government is I guess going to give Tennessee the money back to rebuild something in its place, and the Coliseum is on that list from what I'm hearing.
Well, that should be declared a national landmark.
That's what I said. Make it a national historical landmark for sports and sporting events, man.
Yeah.
Luke wants to know if I'm coming to New Millennium Championship Wrestling. I don't know, Luke. It depends on my health, brother. Everything now depends on my health because of my leg. Holly Eek said, "What's up, Scott?" And Joseph wants to know, Thunder, what do you see as the future of wrestling training? More spots and less characters, or more character?
I think there's room for the character part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that by saying this: not everybody can be Billy Bad.
Right.
And I think that's what's hurting a lot of guys right now is everybody wants to be the baddest guy walking.
Right.
Not everybody can do that.
Right.
As far as the actual training of it goes, guys are not trained, and I'm not really shooting on anybody when I say this, but it's just the truth.
Right.
A lot of guys are not trained anymore the way that they used to train guys. You know, I mean, I will say that to say this. I had 6 months worth of training before I ever stepped in the ring. Should I have trained longer? Probably. It's a promotion that I started with, which is no longer in business.
Right.
But when I started, I was the biggest guy there. So, I mean, I was 22 years old, 23 years old. I was, 6'2", 255, and Blade was 245 and 6 foot. And we walked in and we were monsters. And they pushed us. They jumped all over us. And we were lucky in that aspect to be in that position.
Right.
But looking back on it, would it have done me good to train longer? Sure, it would have. But that, like I said, I had 5, 6, 7 months under my belt training before I ever stepped foot in the ring. That being said, a lot of these guys now go and buy boots and knee pads, and you can buy tights on Amazon. They may not be wrestling tights, but whatever they are.
Right.
And you can buy them and go and spend 3 weeks with somebody and then come back and go, oh, I'm a wrestler and I'm ready to go get booked.
I've actually heard of some kids. I've actually heard of some kids who didn't even have a trainer, just started watching videos on YouTube and just showed up one day at somebody's wrestling show and said, "Yeah, I got gear. I've been wrestling for 6 months."
Yeah. I've seen and been in the ring with some guys just like that, and they, I hate to say it this way, but they pay for it, and they will pay for it if they get in there with somebody that knows what they're doing. That's old school and won't put up with stuff like that.
Right.
A lot of guys now, and again, I ain't really shooting on anybody, but I'm just telling the truth. This is how I see it. A lot of guys now don't know enough to know that who they're working with is bad.
Right.
And which, and you've heard me say this too, it's all about who you work with. It's a dance. Wrestling is a dance. You're only good as the partner you're in the ring with.
Right.
And if you put 2 guys in the ring that ain't no good, then guess what happens? The match is horrible. And people's going to go get popcorn and go to the bathroom or leave.
Be on their cell phones. I've seen that many times. Right.
And you know this because you've heard us talk about it and you've watched it with us.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my family really loves bad wrestling. We look it up on YouTube, and I have seen some of the most horrible shows you could ever see.
Right. We've done that. I've come over and broke bread at your house, and we've watched all kinds of wrestling stuff.
And some of that stuff you can't unsee.
Right.
But it's sad that it's that way. But again, I guess there's a place for everybody if you really want to break it down that way. But I just prefer guys that at least know what they're doing, or at least try to act like they know what they're doing.
Right.
And are willing to listen. And that, again, that's the biggest thing.
Right.
If someone and I had a conversation, I was looking through old messages the other day, and I accidentally, because I'm not a fan of technology,
Right.
hit off of the mad face or the whatever it was on the emoji thing,
Right.
and sent it to this guy. Try not to mention their names, but I sent it to him from his last comment to me.
Right.
And I get a message back in like 30 seconds. It's like, are you mad at me? And I was like, no, dude, I'm sorry. I just, hit the wrong button. I was just scrolling through, looking at stuff and hit this button. I apologize. But that just triggered our conversation.
Right.
And so we were talking, and I asked him, he'd been going a place and he just started with them and was working. And I asked him, I said, are you learning anything? And he was like, oh, yeah. And I said, well, and I say this to a lot of guys, always learn from whoever you're around. Even if it's you learn what not to do, be smart enough to learn that as well. Because again, not everybody knows what they're talking about.
Right.
And not everybody's going to shoot straight with you and tell you what you need to hear.
Right.
And I know not everybody. I mean, and I know that over the years, me and Ron Emerson was talking one night, and Ron said, yeah, everything I've ever heard about you is pretty true. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? And he wouldn't really tell me. So I cornered him up the next time I saw him, and I said, me and you got to have a talk, which I think I scared him a little, or at least he said it. Because I said that to him, and he was like, what, are you mad at me? I said, no, I'm not mad. I just want to know what you meant. And he said, well, I'll be honest. He said, I've always heard that if guys mess up, you just go off on them. And I said, well, there was a time when, yeah, I would. And I didn't care who you were. I'm not so bad about it now. Of course, I'm getting old. But, I'm a little more settled in my way. But I still hate seeing guys go out there and, just spot after spot after spot, and they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Or they're missing stuff like crazy, and they don't know how to go out there and tell a story and keep people's attention. And I'm not saying every match I have is 5-star, because it's
I do as a fan. I love it when wrestlers come in the ring and they acknowledge us. A lot of wrestlers, I've seen a lot of wrestlers come in the ring and never one time, even being a baby or a heel, come in and never acknowledge the fans. Even a heel just turning around when somebody screams something and saying shut up or something like that. That gets a crowd riled up. That gets you heat. And I've seen some matches, I've seen some whole wrestling shows where maybe 1 or 2 wrestlers in the whole show will acknowledge there's even an audience there.
Right. And that's where again,
and I'm not downing anybody. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, like you just said, if you don't acknowledge those fans, that's who's paid to come see you.
Right.
And if they don't get some kind of interaction from most of the guys there, they're not going to come back. If a family comes in and they don't have fun, that's just like if you go to Carowinds,
right,
and you go in there and you ride everything into place, and then you never crack a smile, are you going to go back? No. So if you don't go to wrestling and have fun, and my wife gets all over me because I go when we go, and I'm not booked, and I hate going when I ain't booked, but we'll go sometimes,
right, and
you sit and watch, and a lot of times I don't really react. And because I'm just sitting there shaking my head at some of that stuff, but and they get my kids and my wife are all like, "Aren't you having fun?" And I'm just like, "This is just crazy. I can't believe it." And I guess that's why I'm glad that when I am booked, I'm in the back and I don't get to see a lot of stuff.
Right.
So I miss a lot of stuff that the rides home are always fun because I get filled in.
Right.
And we've always teased that we're going to do a ride along with us.
I've been in the car with you going to a few shows and coming back. Those conversations are fun. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. We've had some really good, truthful, honest conversations about what we saw in the ring and what we thought and stuff like that.
And I know it sounds like I'm down on everybody right now.
No. Sometimes we're saying what a great wrestler this person or that person is. Right. It's not all negative.
Right. And, there is, and I'm gonna say this: there's a lot of good talent out there right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay. At HWA, at APW, at at Wasp, at several other places.
Right.
There's some good talent there. They just have to learn and listen. That's
Right.
That's the biggest thing. If some of these guys will just slow down and and get their attitudes and their egos off their shoulders,
Right.
and sit down for a minute and listen, that they would be better than they are. At least they would know more than they do. And I'm not saying they got to listen to me, but just listen to some other guys that have been around for a while.
Right.
Take the time to pick people's brains. And it's like I told the guy I was talking to the other day. If you're learning, great. If you're learning what not to do, that's even better.
Right. Right. Learn from your mistakes. When you make a mistake and somebody tells you it's a mistake, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But let's get to some of these. We are building up comments over here. Let's catch up to a little bit of these. Missy Childers, with all that you said, they can't wait for the story. In other words, they get too anxious to get out there and move around and hit spots. No story. Right. Holly said some of us do, but some of us don't. It's all about the story. Missy Childers said, tell them about the match on the water. We will get to that. I promise you, I'll ask you. Jenneth Booth has a good question. She said, Thunder, do you slap hands?
Do I what?
Slap hands.
Yeah. When I'm the good guy, I do.
Yeah. There you go.
I may smack somebody if I'm not. So.
If you're the bad guy, you might still slap hands if you're in a tag team match.
Well, here's the thing, and this has kind of always been the funny part of my career, is I've always kind of been that in-between guy.
Right.
And I don't mean that like since the get-go, but over the last probably 10, 12, 15 years, I became that guy. That didn't matter. I remember I was at a show with Shelby one night, and this guy went out to the ring and was like, I'm not leaving till somebody comes out here and wants to fight, and this, that, and the other. And I forget what he said. But anyway, so they were like, it's your turn to go work. And this wasn't even my match. They just hit my music. And so I go out, and this old man stands up and goes, you're going to get your butt kicked now. And I'm the bad guy. So it's kind of been one of those things. I've always enjoyed doing what I do. And
I have to admit, I've seen you play both baby and heel. I like you more as a heel.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Robert said, may I ask if your sons wrestle?
So my oldest son, Dylan, has off and on wrestled since he was 2, believe it or not. I take it back, probably about 3 or 4. When he was about that age, he wanted wrestling tights like Daddy, so we had him a blue singlet with a silver lightning bolt down the side.
Oh, nice!
And he had some Mickey Mouse light up shoes. And he begged me to wrestle one. Just Daddy, I want to wrestle. And I had a guy we were running shows back then. And I had a guy come to me, he was a referee of mine, and he said, listen, I just want to have a match. I'll put him over if you'll let me work. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He said, I'll wrestle him. He said, and he can beat me. He said, I don't care. He said, I just want a chance to get in the ring and do something.
That's awesome.
Like, and I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, all right. So we did it.
Nice.
And, I walked through some stuff with Dylan, and for some reason, when he was that age, and he's still kind of this way, if you show him something a couple times, he can do it.
Right.
It's just crazy. And so we walked through some stuff, and he got his kind of little thing down. So they hit his music, and he went out, and that place went crazy. And we had about 150 people that night. People was hollering and screaming for him. And he run around the ring and slapped hands with everybody and got in the ring and climbed up on the second rope and threw his hands in the air, and he's all celebrating. And then he jumps down and leans through the ropes and looks at some woman in the front row and goes, shut up. I'm like, boy, you can't do both.
That's great. I love to hear stuff like that.
So, but over the years, he's wrestled several times. He's, and he's pretty proficient. He can get in there and go. He's not as polished as he would like to be, and he's still kind of debating on whether he's actually going to start really jumping in it and doing it. But, and Larissa my daughter has started training a little bit. She can do some stuff. And Luke is about technically as sound as he can get right now. I've not turned him loose yet.
Right.
But he's learning. Right now, he's ring announcing and doing a fabulous job at that. He ring announces almost everywhere I go.
I've seen him ring announce. He is an awesome ring announcer.
He's the full-time ring announcer at WASP. I think he's going to wind up being the announcer at New Millennium when they start back up.
Nice.
They've already talked to him about that. So he's got some opportunities. And him being 15 years old, he's starting where he needs to start. So he's doing really well.
Right.
So
and he grew up watching it. So that's an advantage too.
They all grew up, and now when like this weekend, I'm not really booked anywhere tomorrow night. And they're all, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. No, let's not. And me and Missy both have said this is our fault. They grew up in business. They grew up.
Love watching to watch wrestling, right?
So yeah.
Keep on them, kids. Keep on them. Robert Brown said, "Prayers for you, Scott. Hope your leg's feeling better." I'm going to keep working on it, brother. I'm going to keep working on it. Joseph said, "Thunder, can you touch on some of the training wrestlers to engage with the crowd prior to the show, during the show, intermission, and after? I just think it helps the audience get to know them."
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You can. I've sat and talked to some guys, and I've not really done any like training sessions per se, like workshops or whatever you want to call it. But
right,
some of the guys that I've talked to, I have tried to tell them, it's about that interaction. You got to pick. If you're the bad guy, you got to pick out 2 or 3 in the crowd, and that's who you go after. That's who you pick on. That being said, don't cuss them. Don't insult them to the point where they get mad and hate you and want to leave.
Right.
Because you want them to come back, and pay their money to see you get beat up again. That's the whole point. As good guys, you want to embrace the folks. Get the kids on your side, get the old grandmas on your side, whatever it takes, kind of thing. To back you, sell to the crowd. Go back and watch Ricky Morton stuff. Every time Ricky was getting beat up, what would he do? He reached out to that crowd and said, "Hey, help me."
Man, watch Ricky Morton now. I mean, anytime.
Yeah.
Ricky knows what he's doing. I mean, without a doubt. Missy said that's the hashtag truth. I think when you were back talking some of the stuff about the kids. Joseph said Psycho Boy Fodder and Xander Keys worked the crowd really well. Master classes on how to work the audience. Okay, I'll have to check them guys out. Maybe I'll have them on the show. Missy said there's a lot of shows that we have fun, not always bad. That is true.
That's true.
Assad said, hello, hashtag truth podcast family. What's going on, Assad? Welcome to hashtag truth. I appreciate you coming in. Jenny Booth, I'm going to have you on and have you as a co-host to ask some of these questions. You're a good question asker too. She said, Thunder, have you ever had a manager?
Yes, I have. She was one of the most beautiful women I've ever had beside me. And I was lucky enough to marry her almost 24 years ago.
Nice. That was a softball question.
Yeah. And I will say this: me and Missy had a conversation this week. I think it was like maybe Tuesday. I don't remember exactly, but we were talking about it, and I said to her, "I wish you still wanted to do it." And she said, "It ain't that I still want to do it. I just don't want to." Well, she said, "It ain't that I can't. I just don't want to anymore."
Right.
And I said, I understand, but I told her, I said, before I hang it up, I want to get one more run with me and you.
There you go. I'd love that. I would definitely be there for that. I would do whatever I have to do.
We were talking about that. And, I told her, I said, well, I'm not ready to hang them up yet. But before I do, I want at least one more run with me and you. I said, because when I'm done, I want you there.
I want to make the announcement again, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just coming on, I see the numbers are getting a little bit bigger. We have Chris Thunder Anderson on the phone. We started off on audio, and where he lives, his internet is not very good out there. He lives out in the boondocks. And the audio just wasn't working. He sounded like a robot. So we switched him over to voice, and we've been having a great conversation. So if you have any questions for Chris Thunder Anderson, please put them out. Robert Brown has one for you. He asks this of everybody who's come on since he's been coming on. Robert, I appreciate you. He's on YouTube. So go check us out on YouTube, #Truth Wrestling Podcast, and subscribe. Robert wants to know, what kind of music do you like?
So I'm an old school guy, kind of all the way around. 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s. Pretty much that's really my wheelhouse. Not a big fan of the newer stuff.
Right.
You know, they say, as I heard in a movie one time, there's just no heart in it. You know, so that's just me.
Right.
You know, I listened coming up when I was in college. I actually went to college for radio and television broadcast. I was a DJ for about 3.5 or 4 years. So I learned to like stuff that I didn't like. I listened to all kinds of alternative stuff,
right?
Just punk, crazy stuff, bands, and all this.
So you listen to all kinds of music.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, but that's kind of my workout wheelhouse. When I'm in the gym, that's where I go.
Now tell everybody what music, what entrance music you use.
So I Stand Alone. And I know my wife just heard that, and she's like, "I'm gonna smack you when we get some." That's a running joke at our house.
Okay.
We've seen too many tag teams come out to I Stand Alone, so it's funny. I used I can't remember the name of the song, but it was from Godsmack years ago. Me and Blade, that was our music when he retired or stopped.
Right.
I kept going with it. Then me and Missy started dating, and she asked me one night, about the second or third time she ever watched me wrestle, she said, "Why don't you come out to Thunderstruck?" And I'm like, "Because I don't like that song." She's like, she said, "Who cares if you like it? That's what you need to come out to."
I tell you what, the second that song hits, I know it's you. That is true.
And so I said, "All right, fine." So, you know, I did it begrudgingly the first time. By the third time, I was as hooked as everybody else. So
right. If anybody else, I've been to a few shows where a couple other people have come out to that song, and I boo them when they come out, whether they're here or face, because that's your song.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. So I was in Elkins, North Carolina one night, wrestling for a guy, and he had a tag team, and that was their music that they used. And they went out to it because they were on the show before me, and they went out to it. And, you know, next thing you know, there's somebody at the curtain going, Thunder, there's a lady out here that wants to see you. So I stick my head out, Miss Missy, and she's like, "What are they doing? Come out to your music?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's fine. Don't worry about it."
All right.
And she goes back and sits down. So comes time for me, and they're like, "What song do you want us to play?" I said, "Thunderstruck." And they're like, "So-and-so." I said, "I don't care. It's my music." Now, this is the first time I've been at this promotion.
Right.
Very first time.
Right.
I didn't know who had it. Now, the kicker to this was this. When he wrestled for Stallion, his name was John Brewer.
Okay.
When he wrestled for Italian Stallion, Missy did too. So that was my end.
Okay.
So when I told them to play Thunderstruck, they said, okay. So they did. So the two guys that went out earlier had a fit. I got over more than they did. So when I came back, they had to change their music.
I love stories like
the
that.
The very next show we were at, they were like, "What are we going to do tonight?" And John told them, "Well, y'all got to change y'all's music. Thunderstruck's his."
Right. Sean Duffy said hello and good evening from Fallen, Nevada. Robert says the magic question, do you like Tupac? He said he doesn't like too modern. I mean, I don't know if that's too modern, but do you like Tupac at all?
I like that old Tupac shaker. He was a pretty good dude.
Sean Duffy said, are you ever going to come out of the boonies for a West Coast tour?
You know, honestly, I would love to. If I ever had the opportunity.
Oh no, you said that.
The rest of my family feels that way or not, but
you said that about one comes out alone or whatever, and Missy said the doors are locked. Oh no, you got quiet, man. Where you at?
Hey, listen, I know where I get heat and where I can't.
That is awesome. Well, we are at the 50-minute mark, but I know you can't see them, but I'm going to play it for the audience, and I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to play a quick prelude to the Oh man, I can't even talk, man. I'm having such a good conversation. My mind is still on what you were talking about. I'm going to play a quick intro to this segment, and then I'm going to get it ready. I'm going to put 5 pictures on the screen. I know you can't see them, but I'm going to tell you who they are for name drop, and we're going to have a good time here because I really want to hear the answers to some of these people I put up. So here we go. Let me play the intro, and then we'll be right back.
I just smartened up. I can watch this on Facebook.
Oh, there you go. See, watch it on Facebook. Just mute it so you don't get a double.
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay, good deal. All right, so I'm going to play the intro and I'm going to get ready for name drop. All right, we are back, and we're going to do name drop for Chris Thunder Anderson. He can see the pictures. He's on the phone with us because his internet isn't very good, but he is looking on Facebook. He will see the pictures of the people I'm saying. So let me get this over here. We got comments flying in. So Missy said behave, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
All right, here's the 5 people that I chose, and some of these I'm gonna love to hear the answers to. All right, first person is Mr. Ivan M. Righteous.
Next.
That's all you got to say is next. Oh wow, that bad.
Ivan's all right. He's grown on me over the years, so he's like a fungus. So
believe it or not, he asked me to put him on this list. He wanted to hear what you would say. Yeah, he said it would be something funny. You started with next. It's all good, man. All right, here's name drop number 2, Mr. Shane Austin.
I love Shane. If there is anybody in this business currently that could, and I say this sparingly, I guess is how I mean it.
Okay.
So I've never not necessarily had a tag team partner like Blake.
Right.
Since he retired and since has passed away.
Right.
But if I could pick somebody that is as close to him as could possibly be, it would be Shane Austin.
I've watched Shane Austin wrestle quite a few times, and he is about as old school as you can get.
He is an awesome guy. Me and him have kind of always got along, which is something to be said for both of us.
Right.
Because we're both cut. I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of the truth. We're both cut from the same cloth.
Right.
He's old. He's as old school as you can get, and I am too, to a point.
Right.
When me and him have wrestled each other several times, probably more than several times, and every time that we do, his wife and my wife sit there and go, "Oh God, not them two again." We're going to kill each other. That happened last month down in Keys Mountain where they thought we were going to have to work with each other. Turns out we were partners, so that saved the lives of a lot of people.
Missy said Shane Austin is the man and really does have a big heart.
He really does. He really does. And I don't think he's got enough credit in the business that he deserves.
Right.
Keep in mind, he was with George and Stal back when the traveling days were going on. So he's been in the ring with Undertaker and those guys at that level.
Wow.
The favorite story I like from him, the one he's always kind of told, is the night that Paul Orndorff and Big Van Vader got in the fight and Orndorff beat him with flip-flops on. He was supposed to wrestle Vader. He was supposed to wrestle Vader that night, and they gave him Scott Norton.
Oh, okay.
And Scott Norton went out and did like 5 or 6 finishes on him.
Oh, wow.
And they come back, and again, it was Ole got a hold of him and said, dude, what do you think you're doing? He was like, well, and so, of course, Shane was like, what did I do wrong? And they like, not you. You did fine. And they jumped all over Scott Norton for hitting him for, with 5 or 6 finishes.
Oh, wow.
Like, is this kid superhuman? And saying that, kind of leads me into this comment. That's what's wrong with guys today too. Everybody wants to do a finish, 2 moves in,
Right.
and that kills what you do at the end. So
Yeah, I definitely I don't like watching matches that are like that. All right, third name on the list, Mr. Josh Steinborn.
Josh is another one. Josh makes me feel old because he don't ever care to remind me that he used to come watch me wrestle before he ever started.
Okay.
So, he used to watch me and Blade wrestle at APW in Chesney, South Carolina, and he don't care to tell nobody that. He's like, I remember when. I was like, no, don't remember when, because, you're not as old as me, but you've been around forever, too. So, love Josh, great guy, worked with him numerous times, tagged with him, worked against him. Love Josh.
Missy said one of the best, Josh Steinborn. There you go.
For sure.
All right, name number 4. Name number 4. You hit this man earlier in the podcast, but I want you to do it again. Mr. Jay Eagle.
I love Chief. I know he's catching a lot of heat over the last several years, and some of it's probably deserved and some of it's not, because I know Chief. But again, early on when I started working for Chief probably 97, 98, I guess, maybe in there somewhere.
Right.
When he was still at the Shamrock at Lake Bowen.
Yeah, there's tons of videos out there with you at APW.
Yeah. And I love Nick Fury for putting those out there. He sends them to me as he posts them too. So, he's making sure I got copies. But again, Chief was one that if he liked you back then, he would pull you to the side and teach you. Right. And hey, do this different and do this, and you need to work on this. And
he is. I said this last show when I brought it up. I brought him up to Dump Truck, and I said this, and I mean it. He's also a huge wrestling historian for this area. I mean, you like him or not, if you want to know if somebody's been here and wrestled or not, ask Jay Eagle. He will tell you.
Right. The reunion show that got put on a couple years ago.
Yes.
Missy kind of ended that up with Chief.
Yeah.
He told me that night, and I had never heard this story, but it's one of my favorites from him. He said that him and One Man Game went to I didn't forget where it was, up north. And worked for Angelo Poffo.
Okay.
He said of the two of us, I'm the only one that came back.
Sounds like Ohio.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't remember where it was, but he said that to say this. That's where Game got his break.
Oh, wow.
And so he said they both rode up there together, and he's the only one that came back, and George went on the road after that.
Right.
With the Poffos, and then wound up, with NWA, and I think he did some, UWF stuff, and of course with the WWE and all
right.
that. So yeah, that's kind of cool to hear. And of course, Jay always had a great relationship with Wahoo, and so I got to meet Wahoo and spend some time with Wahoo because of Chief. So love Chief's another one. Love him to death.
There you go. Well, number 5, I'm going to throw you a softball. This is going to be a good one. Mr. Luke Childers.
He's a brat. But I love him. That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's my baby boy. I'm very proud of Luke. I'm proud of the young man that he is. I'm proud of the young man that he's growing up to be. Does a great job at ring announcing. Has took some lumps from some promoters, believe it or not.
Has got a great podcast. Let's not forget about that.
That's right. And is working on building that podcast up. He's very excited about it. Anytime he gets, I get on him every once in a while because I'm like, where are you going with that bag? He's like, I might interview somebody. I'm like, okay. And I have to remember he's trying to get started too. And so
that's
I
right.
have to get in some spots sometimes too. But super proud of this kid. And we're trying to talk him into shaving his head and getting a haircut. Either like Magnum, like the back grow out, he'd be like Magnum TA, or cut it on the sides and be like Sid Vicious. We're trying to figure out what.
Well, I'll tell you what, I like the look he's got in this picture. I like his when he puts his cowboy hat on, his tie, and his nice jacket. He goes out there and he does his ring announcing. He is a great ring announcer. And
yeah, we told him, he's like, if you're gonna ring announce, you gotta. It's just like wrestling. You got to stand apart.
Oh yeah.
have a look. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to steal nothing from good old JR, but I told him, I said, nobody on Independence wears a cowboy hat. I was like, you
That's
love
it.
that hat. I said, so wear it.
That's it.
I said, that's your gimmick. So wear your hat.
Yeah, it could become a staple. Luke said, why me? It's not why me. We're proud of you, man. He said, why me? I'll tell you, if you need to go watch Luke Childers, now the name of his podcast I just lost it. I had The Bottom Line. There you go. The Bottom Line. Guys, go check out The Bottom Line on Facebook. Luke does a great job. He does interviews with the wrestlers in our area. He also does a Wrestler of the Month. He does all kinds of things on his page. You guys need to go check him out. Give him some love. Like his page. Like what he does. Leave comments, ask questions, do all that stuff that you would do here, do it there. I'm asking you because he puts his heart and soul into it, and he's doing such a great job, and I am very proud of him myself, man. He asks me questions every once in a while, and I'm like, Luke, I'm not the end-all, be-all. You do you, man, and he does, and he's blowing it out of the water, man. He's the next generation of podcasting.
He might be probably the toughest ring announcer in the circuit right now. He's 15 years old, but he's 6 foot tall. He weighs 302 pounds, and he can deadlift about 300 pounds. You don't want to mess with Luke.
Right.
He could, and I'm saying this kind of out my own self because I'm old. But him and his brother have contests to see who can pick me up and carry me the farthest.
Wow.
And so far, Luke's winning.
Wow. Now that's something, because his brother's about as big as he is and about as tall, and that has to be some kind of
Luke's been body slamming people since he was about 12. So don't get too close to him.
Larissa, his sister, said, so beyond proud of my munchkin. He does a great job. Yes, he does. He deserves every bit of praise that we're giving him. Well, there you have it. That is name drop. I love that. I always love doing that part with everybody. But if you guys are just now coming in, we've got Chris Thunder Anderson on the line. We are talking to him over the phone because, unfortunately, where he lives, the internet is not good. It's not pleasing to the eye. So we switched it over to telephone calls. If there's any last questions you want to get in, we got a few more minutes. Get them in. And Robert has one. He said, have you ever been part of a faction?
Yes. Actually, probably, I guess 2, maybe 3.
Okay. What was your favorite one?
So early on, when I first started, we formed one called the Foundation, which was me and Blade, Mickey Richards, and a man named Kevin Dalton, and the commissioner of the promotion we worked in at the time.
Okay.
So that was kind of the first one. Then me and Blade got the opportunity to travel. So we just kind of took the Foundation name with us. And for those of you that know, I guess I can refer to them as the new Foundation, kind of.
Right.
With Travis Roberts and Dylan Dollar.
Right.
Me and Blade were Travis's football coaches when Travis was in 4th and 5th and 6th grade.
Oh, wow. So that came full circle, didn't it?
So when they started wrestling, when they tagged up, they both contacted me because Mark had since passed away. So they had called me and said, hey, can we do this? And I was like, why? Because I was like, we didn't do anything with it. And just kind of laughed. And they were like, no, you don't understand the impact that you and Mark had on tag team wrestling in this area.
Right.
And the impact y'all had on, tag teams in general that coming up watching y'all. He said, so, this is our way to show y'all respect. So I love Travis and Dylan for that. I aggravate them all the time because I tell them they're still not as tough as the original. But it's a new day and time as well. So you don't, I guess you need to be, but they're not. So it's okay.
Luke said RWO. What does that mean?
He's being goofy. No, so the RWO thing happened one time. It was said one time, and Luke just won't let go of it. That one.
Good boy.
We did a big. There was a big fight. You know how it goes. There was a big fight broke loose, and Brady Hawks made the statement, "You're messing with the redneck world order," and so that's where that came from. I'm the only one that's. I will say I'm not a redneck, but I'm from redneck territory, so I guess that makes me one.
Yeah. You're one by association. I am too, so it is what it is.
The other faction that I was in was me and two guys that I trained. We did the first family gimmick. We did that for a while at APW, and then the last one I think I was a part of was the Carolina Cartel for NAWA.
Okay. Missy, when Luke was up there, she said that's Mama's baby boy. I'm proud of him. Yes, we are. Robert said, Scott, if you don't have any plans, do you want to appear on Wrestle Tati Live? She's doing a watch along for Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. Hit me up after the show, Robert, with that and the information. And depending on what day it is, I just might do that. I appreciate it. Robert wants to know, what's your finisher?
So I'm old school. I'm Anderson armbar.
Okay, I've got to ask about this move because if not, nobody's going to let me live it down. You do a move that just makes me cringe. Why did you decide to start doing the elbow stomp?
So I'll tell you where it came from. I was watching, and I can't remember the name of the pay-per-view right off, but it was Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio. And Dean did it to Rey. And I was like, so I rewound it and watched it again. I watched it 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I got to figure out how to do that. So kind of taught myself how to do it. I know that sounds crazy, coming from me. But
right.
Learned how to do it, figured it out, learned how to put it in, make it make sense. So just start doing it. And, yes, I do it because of the reaction that it gets.
Yeah, the reaction I give you every time it happens. Luke said it's called the Scott Stomp now, but the reaction I give it, man, without a doubt. Benny Booth wants to know where.
There are numerous people that do not want to take that move. And that's okay because they're going to take it whether they like it or not.
I seen you do that move to one guy, and he was like, "You're not going to do this." You did it like 3 times to him in the same match. That was funny.
Right.
Benny Booth wants to know where will you be next? Well, it's funny you asked that, Benny, because we're going to go over some posters, and I'm going to slap this poster up first. Spring Stampede Wasp. Saturday, April the 20th is going to be at the wait a minute, I got to move your thing because Forge Creek Community Center. There you go. Doors open 6 o'clock, bell time 7. It's at 3252 Forge Creek Road in Mountain City, Tennessee. If you want to look up where to go or how to get tickets, go to WASP on Facebook. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee you will have a good time. I'm going to go ahead and go through all the rest of them while we're at it. We've got Wrestling Revolution and Air Force One presents Danger Zone Saturday, April 13th at the Cross Country Campgrounds in Denver, North Carolina. Doors open 6, bell time 7. You don't want to miss that. NAWA has Heath Slater coming to the card for a baseball team fundraiser on April the 20th at the Buford High School in Lancaster, South Carolina. Doors open 6, bell time 7. You don't want to miss that one. We also have Viral Wrestling presents All or Nothing on April 20th. A lot of shows on April 20th. What a great day to be a wrestling fan on April 20th. Doors open 6:30, bell time 7:30. That's in Augusta, Georgia. Also, tomorrow night, 217 Gilkey School Road, HWA in Rutherford, North Carolina. Doors open 6:30, bell time 7:30. You don't want to miss that. Coming up on April 13th, New Millennium Championship Wrestling is going to be in Kings Mountain Armory, 200 Pfeiffer Road in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Doors open 6, bell time is at 7. Also, See No Evil Wrestling, Big Time Fight Night is going to be April the 20th. It's at 3250 West Franklin Boulevard in Gastonia. Doors open at 4, bell times at 5. And last but not least, tonight, it's probably getting close to time for this match out at APW. They're having a heavyweight championship, George South versus Caleb Crocker. It's going on right now. If you get there, you just might be able to see it. And that's all the post. Oh, no, wait, I got one more. Sorry. Underground Carolina Wrestling, April 20th at the Gastonia National Guard Armory, 2100 Robertson Road. Tickets are $8. Advance are $5. Doors open at 6:45. Show starts at 7:45. There we go. That's a lot of posters, a lot of great action this week. So are you looking forward to the 20th? And tell us what's going on the 20th.
So, the 13th, I'll be in Kings Mountain.
That's right. You're going to be there too. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. The 20th, I will be defending the Wasp heavyweight title against Brian Montgomery. We wrestled last month. He tried to break my ankle. So Brian, there's some payback coming.
Missy said New Millennium is going to be a good show. Robert, I will definitely check that out. I promise you. He wants to know if Insane Clown Posse has wrestled out where we're at. I haven't seen him, or I haven't seen him booked. Maybe you have. Chris, have you ever seen Insane Clown Posse wrestle?
They were at WrestleCade last year. We saw them there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they do some bigger shows too. They've been on WWE, WCW, and things like that.
I remember when they were on TV a lot.
Yeah,
years ago. But that's the first time I saw them live.
Yeah, they do some really crazy music. I do know that. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Chris, we've had you here for an hour and 10 minutes. I know you had to leave your house to go find internet. So I don't know if you're at home in your car or where you're at, but I'm going to let you get back to your family. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you. Scott, you would love WrestleCade. I would. I really would. If I could afford it, I would definitely love it. But I'd be like a kid in the candy store there. But gonna let you get back to your family. We appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure having you on. I always learn a lot every time I talk to you. And please come back in a few months and let us know where you're at.
I appreciate it, Scott. Thanks, man.
Without a doubt. And I'm also going to get Luke on here if I can pretty soon. Maybe he can help me co-host the show because he's a great he does some great questions. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end the show like this. Chris Thunder Anderson, let me tell you what, when he bends that elbow and kicks down, you might cringe, but that means he's about 3 seconds away from a win, and that is the #truth. We'll see you guys Monday night.